Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you a quick overview of how you might make a teapot with the foundation piece onto flannel technique that I'm using for all of my classes at the moment to make quilt blocks. So this is the unfinished quilt block. I haven't put the backing on it or turned it to the front to give it a binding, but I'll just show you the basic principle first. So the basic principle is that I lay down, so you can probably see in this corner here, I basically lay down a piece of fabric, sew it down through all the layers. This is a piece of flannelette that's in the back. So this will ultimately end up acting as the batting or the middle part of the quilt block. So what I'm doing is putting pieces of fabric face down, covering any raw edges that are there and in the line that I want, and putting it over here and then turning it back. So we've done ones with squares and things, and that's how we started off, but this is a more complex one that shows that it's got a little picture of a teapot basically. So one of the students wanted to do a teapot, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So this is the most stylized, simple teapot that I could work out to do. So how you do this is, I had a piece of fabric that was roughly this shape. I had actually cut these lines to make it, you can do it with a square, but because I wanted a guidance to the shape a bit more accurately, I actually cut it pretty much this shape, although I did make some changes when I was laying down the fabric. So this is the center piece that I started with. The next thing I did was this little black piece. So I basically put that face down, sewed it along and turned it back. Then I put a piece here. Now this piece was probably this shape, square underneath there. So I sewed that down and flipped that back. So then now I've got this. Now, in order to do these two parts of it, you have to, I can't just put the teapot spout on without having this fabric as well. So this is a single strip here where I've pieced that teapot in before I lay it down. So I've sewn the teapot together with that fabric on an angle. I've trimmed it so that it was more like a strip. Then I've put another piece of this fabric on and I've trimmed that to be a strip. And so then I end up with a strip that looks like that. And I sew that along this edge and flip it back. And this one, I have divided this into two segments that were individually pieced. So firstly I pieced this strip that had the black and white, then I put a bit of red in it, then I put the black and white, then I put a bit of red, then I put another bit of white. So I had that whole strip sewn together before I put it down on the backing, on the foundation. So the flannel foundation. So once I've got that strip down there, then I can put it along to cover all of that edge. So I put that all and flip it back. Then in order to get this part of the handle done, I've done a little skinny strip that is just as wide as this part of the handle. And I've joined another skinny black and white one and another little skinny black and white one there. And so then I match that up so that these ends match and sew that down. Flip it back. And from there, I have the whole teapot. And from there, you can just proceed as you would normally, which means then putting more, I've put some more black and white edges all around so that the whole teapot is enclosed in the black and white. And then I've got this sort of, well, I actually have a shape that's sort of got a lot of extra underneath it here, but I basically had to make this shape in order to cover all the raw edges in the minimum number of sides I've tried to do. So I would have started, I put this across the bottom first, thinking, oh, that's a nice, like a tablecloth with the teapot sitting on the tablecloth. And then I put these pieces around the outside. So once I'd put that piece there, where would have I gone? I would have gone, I think I went to this piece, put this piece, because see this piece goes underneath these later pieces. Then I put this piece down there because you can see it's going underneath the later pieces. Then I put this piece here and probably that piece here, and then that piece was one of the last ones. Not quite the last one though, because I can see it's caught down in the corner. So this piece here must have been put on after that. There. And then because I didn't have quite enough in that piece, I've just put a little tiny piece there. And then I've trimmed it all so that it is, turned it over and trimmed all this back to the flannel, any bits that were still sticking up. So you can see the seam lines here. So you can see where the spout and the handle have been, that there is no seam lines there because those pieces, those strips, were made before I sewed it down. It's a kind of a little bit tricky concept to do, but in class we will have a go at it if you want to. And I think that once you sort of do it, you can kind of understand the principle. Anyway, that's just a short video. I will probably try and make a longer video at some stage that actually goes through the whole thing, you know, and you could follow along and do one as well if you wanted to. Anyway, enjoy, and I'll talk to you again later.